Hello, Jane Cleveland here. It's my pleasure to talk a little bit about where do ideas come from. Well, let me start by saying, if we knew that for sure, we could just go there and get them. I think it's an amalgam of imagination based on what's in our brains and making connections and looking for patterns and then feeding it with current things that are going on. For example, when you overhear a conversation, have you ever wondered, what does that person do for a living? What does that person think about what he's saying? Why is he talking about that right now? What is the underlying message, the hidden agenda, the message beneath the message? Overheard conversations can be fertile ground for coming up with ideas. So too can your own life experience. Have you ever broken up with a friend? I'm not even talking romantically. I'm talking about a friend. You know, there's two kinds of ways that you lose touch with people. Your orbits kind of spin apart, right? Like a Venn diagram. For a while we have overlap, and that's where our relationship is. And then one of us goes off in a different direction, or we both do, and we lose touch. There's no agenda to that. There's no bad will. There's no anything. It's just one of those things that happens in life. But then there's sometimes that one of us changes or one of us brings forth part of who she is that didn't used to be there before, or the accent is on a different part of the syllable, as it were. And all of a sudden there's ill will or there's a disconnect. And now I actively don't want to see you. Has that ever happened to you? What is it that is driving that kind of discontent? And I'm not putting it any higher because in my experience, usually it's not hostile. I'm not talking about you stole my money, so therefore I'm not going to be your friend anymore. No, of course not. That isn't what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is where someone finds religion or someone loses faith, or where someone joins a cult or someone leaves a cult, or where someone embraces a political opinion that's different and the antithesis of yours. These are life evolutions, and I think it's fertile ground for storytelling. Why? What made that person change? Why can't you adapt? Interesting stuff, right? And then my final idea is the news, current events. Rosemary Harris wrote Pushing Up Daisies because she read a little article in a Connecticut newspaper about someone having dug up a long buried infant. Terrible, horrible. I mean, 100 or more years ago, someone had buried an infant in a backyard. Can you imagine? And in my case, I read the Josie Prescott Antiques Mysteries, and I read a little article about how an artifact from the Lewis and Carroll expedition in the early 1800s was found at a Harvard University museum, filed in the wrong drawer. It hadn't been seen in 150 years. Well, I wrote a book about it. Because that was an idea that caught my imagination. We need to read a lot. We need to read a lot about all sorts of things because you never know where those patterns are going to jump out at you, what connections you're going to see that elude other people. You got to put stuff in your brain in order to get stuff out of your brain and onto paper. Good luck with it.